Hello, my name is Alex Wigle. I'm part of CalU's honors program, and this is my presentation on dark and observational humor in the works of George Carlin. For some background, George Carlin was a stand-up comedian who performed from the 1950s to the 2000s. He is best known for his humor focusing on religion and politics. My claim is that George Carlin uses dark and observational humor to discuss topics that would normally not be humorous, such as religion or politics, in a way that expresses his viewpoints while also making it humorous for the audience. My first piece of evidence comes from Carlin's 1999 special, You Were All Diseased, in which he talks about religion and how it's full of false promises and exaggerated claims. He talks about how God is an invisible man in the sky who has a list of 10 things not to do, and that if you do any of them, he will send you to hell for eternity. He then follows this up with, but he loves you, to show the contradiction. He then talks about how God is all powerful, all perfect, all knowing, all wise, but he can't handle money. And that if there was a God, there wouldn't be things such as poverty, war, or famine. He then concludes that if there is a God, he must be incompetent, or he doesn't care. Carlin then talks about how he tried to believe in God, that he now worships the sun because he can see it, and that he prays to Joe Pesci because he thinks he's a good actor and because he looks like he can get things done. He finishes by saying that if you like the Bible, you should try reading Three Little Pigs, Red Riding Hood, or Humpty Dumpty. In Carlin's 1990 special, Doing It Again, he talks about euphemisms, how the context of words is what makes them bad. Carlin talks about how some words have been changed due to political correctness, one of which being PTSD, which has changed several times throughout the last 70 years. How it started out as shell shock, then became battle fatigue, then operational exhaustion, and finally post traumatic stress disorder. He says that by the end, all the humanity and original meaning has been completely removed from the word. He then says that if it was still called shell shock, veterans at the time might have gotten the help that they needed. Carlin then lists words that have changed over time and how they have softened, like how kill has become neutralized and how government lies has become disinformation. He says that the words have been changed to trick people into thinking that these things are no longer a problem. In Carlin's routine on capital punishment, he talks about expanding the death penalty. He talks about executing bankers who launder drug money as a way to inflict fear and as a solution to slow down drug traffic. Carlin says that he would have naked, upside down crucifixions on TV once a week at halftime of the Monday night football games. He then talks about monetizing capital punishment to balance the US budget and to have sponsors such as Marlboro cigarettes or Dow Chemicals. He then says that if it were to be burning at the stake, you could be sponsored by Bridgeford Charcoal. Carlin then talks about gambling on severed heads racing and how you could use slow motion and instant replay to lengthen the airtime. He also says that you could behead them with an olive fork. He says that public execution is religious and can teach children morals. He then talks about how capital punishment could be modernized, like throwing someone off the World Trade Center, or what he calls a thermonuclear suppository. Although these topics can be offensive, George Carlin presents them in a way which can be humorous. He uses his comedy in a way that examines the minority view of topics, but in a dark and funny way that makes them relatable. I would also like to thank Dr. Murray for his help with this presentation.